It's a warm summer night in 1981, and the Hyatt Regency Hotel has beautiful suspended walkways over a fabulous lobby. There's 1,600 people here for a dance party, and life is all good. But what they didn't know is the construction of these suspended walkways was fast-tracked, and there were key fatal design flaws that were present. In the middle of the party, out of nowhere, all of the hotel guests and staff hear a pop, pop, and the 4th-story walkway drops a few inches and falls, crashing into the 2nd-story walkway, which then falls and crashes into the crowd on the hotel lobby floor. There are broken bodies and blood everywhere. 114 people died and 216 more injured, making it at the time the most deadly building collapse in US history. Welcome back to Law and Order, and listen man, I'm pissed the off. Today we're talking about terrible disasters caused by utter human stupidity. The list unfortunately is gonna get worse and worse as we go on, so make sure you stick around to the end. It's January 19th, 1919, in the North End neighborhood of Boston. The Purity Distilling Company has a big-ass tank filled with 2.3 million gallons of molasses, a thick, syrupy-like substance. Problem is, this tank was poorly constructed, safety tests weren't done, leaks were being ignored, and every time they filled up the tank with molasses, it would be thrown in something crazy. On one cold winter day, all of the rivets on the tank went, and boom, the tank burst. A 25-foot wave of thick molasses sweeps through the neighborhood at 35 miles an hour, knocking buildings off its foundation, trapping everything in its way, including people. 21 souls perished under this thick molasses. Some weren't found until days and weeks later. The cleanup was a mess. People said the area smelled like molasses decades after this event happened. Along with those 21 people that died, 150 more were injured in this disaster. An act of pure negligence turned deadly. In the 1920s, the USRC employed women to use radium to paint green glow-in-the-dark watch faces. This company knew the dangers of radium because they already had a few chemists that died after being in close contact with it. But they had these women working with it anyway, and a lot of them, to make a finer point, they put it in their mouth, sharpen it up with their teeth, and before you knew it, all the local dentists were seeing a lot of new patients. These women were coming in by the flock, complaining of pain, loose teeth, lesions, and ulcers. After a couple visits, their mouths were starting to look like something out of The Walking Dead. The USRC denied claims of radiation damage, and they were even paying off these dentists, doctors, and researchers to keep quiet. That was until the first Radium Girl dies after her fucking jaw falls off. Over 100 of these women eventually fall victim to radiation exposure, along the way experiencing illness, cancer, and even brittle bones that would fracture and break by just walking. In a civil lawsuit afterwards, the women that were still alive, left to be able to tell the story, had to be wheelchaired or carried into the courtrooms just to testify. To me, this is moving past negligence and going into pure evil, because you knew what this radium would do to these women. It's March 25th, 1911. The Ash Building in New York City on the 8 to 10 floors is home to the Triangle ShirtWaist factory. Here they produce some of the most popular blouses of the time. 500 employees, mostly 14 to 20-year-old girls, freshly immigrated into the country, were working here. Many of them didn't even speak English. These girls worked long 12-hour shifts, and their employers were assholes. They would lock the doors during work hours that could only be opened from the outside. Now, one day, crazy enough, a fire starts. There was no sprinkler system in place to save money. So someone took a water hose to try to put out the fire, but the valve had rusted shut. This fire is beginning to spread, and there's no way to put it out. Now, it's time to panic, and it's time to get the fuck out of here. Luckily, there were 4 elevators. Unluckily, only one of the 4 elevators were working, which could only carry up to 12 people at one time. So everyone else hurries to the fire escape. But again, to cut back on costs, this fire escape was built weak and fragile. And when these women rushed onto it, it collapsed under their weight. The fire department gets here pretty quickly, but firefighting in 1911 hadn't caught up with the times. The new age of these tall city buildings. So their ladder only reaches the 7th floor, just 1 floor short of where all these girls were. At this point, bystanders on the street are witnessing this madness. And then it happens. They had to choose between being burned alive, choking on smoke, or jumping and hoping they survived the fall. 146 of them died, all within a span of 18 minutes, making it one of the worst disasters in US history, all because of some greedy ass factory owners want to cut costs, be more efficient, and get the most out of their employees. It's 1984, and we're at the Union Carbide pesticide plant in India. They had 3 18,000-gallon tanks filled with methyl isocyanate used to make this pesticide. MIC is extremely toxic and very dangerous and very fatal to human bodies. Now at this point, this plant is a mess and is a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. At this time, all of the safety systems, features were all turned off or not working, and the valves and lines used for safety were in trash condition anyway. At some point, water got into the tank, causing a runaway exothermic reaction. Now I'm about to take you through a specific timeline of what happens next. At 11 p.m., pressure in the tank shoots up to a crazy level. Now luckily, the pressure reading instruments were working, and the workers seen it, so they took care of it, right? No. 2 different senior employees looked at it and both assumed that the pressure reading instrument was malfunctioning. At 11:30, all of the employees are starting to feel minor effects of MIC gas. So they all start looking for the leak, and at 11:45, they find it and alert the MIC area supervisor. Now, the supervisor and the employees take care of the issue, right? No. They decide to address the issue after their 12 a.m. scheduled tea time break. By the time they're back from this stupid ass tea time break, things are worse. Temperatures in the tank are sky high and pressure is off the charts. But all hope is not lost. There are 3 things in place in case this ever happens. 1, a refrigeration system meant to cool down the tanks in case they ever got too hot. But this was shut down over 2 years ago to save costs. 2, a flare stack meant to burn off this gas, but that was out of commission for over a month because of a corroded pipe, and these lazy motherfuckers still ain't fixing it. 3, a vent gas scrubber. Of course, you guessed it, this was deactivated a while back. At this point, we have a full-blown MIC gas leak. Within a couple hours, over 40 tons of the gas was out into the atmosphere, and it blows right into the city of Bophal, India, causing this.
Scenes are simply hellish. So much suffering from India's invisible killer. At one point, an official said 1 death was being recorded every minute from the poison gas leak in the city of Bophal.
The Union Carbide insecticide plant has been closed, of course, now. Outside, vultures devour the carcasses of animals killed by the fumes. Doctors are working around the clock at hospitals that are filled to overflowing.
Since the accident, the 500 doctors in Bophal have been working without rest, but the number of people needing treatment continues to grow as more and more victims are found lying helplessly in their homes. Entire streets near the factory are nearly deserted, with houses locked up and empty.
Autopsies of almost 20,000 victims show brain swelling, inflamed intestines, kidney necrosis, and liver degeneration. For the people who barely survived, many of them were left with permanent damage, including blindness. Pure negligence, laziness, total stupidity, caveman, dumbass IQ led to one of the worst disasters in world history. Over 550,000 people were affected by this. That's all I got for y'all today, man. Listen, if you have anybody working under you or working with you, if you have people that depend on you, be careful, be smart, and always think of everything and every single way that you can make things as safe as possible. Things happen anyway, but there are times when people and their stupidity causes the worst situations to happen. I'll catch y'all next time. I'm gonna stay P and stay me. You stay true and stay you. You dig?